With the DS lines fading slowly into our collective past, and during a period of personal and global turmoil, I've decided to sink into my favorite game of all time, the crown jewel of my favorite series of all time. Professor Layton is a puzzle game. It was released during the brain age of the DS. The first game in the series was really decorative padding for 120 puzzles. Layton and his apprentice Luke are very Sherlock and Watson-esque. The premise is quite simple, and the game plays out in a relatively straightforward way. The two are looking into an inheritance dispute in an isolated city. The mystery is actually fairly good. The puzzles are engaging, the voice acting is excellent save Luke, and there are these fully animated cutscenes which serve the narrative moments really well. The second game, Diabolical Box, is structured identically in the text-based dialogue, puzzles, and animation, but suddenly the mystery and underlying narrative thread takes center stage. The ending of this game is so incredible and moves me to tears every time I play it, or hear Iris, the ending theme. The third game, Unwound Future, is the actualization of the ideas and shots the first two took. It abandons the quiet moments and Saint Mystere from the first game, which always seemed so real to me, in favor of a story so fantastic and silly, and yet entirely ungrounded and ready to punch a hole through its audience like wet paper. I can't help but to hold it up as my favorite game of all time. This is Professor Layton's Unwound Future. And more broadly, this is Tonal Sucker Punch. As always, here's some quick context. This game, in my opinion, has the best hook of any Layton game. Professor Layton receives a letter from someone calling themselves Luke, as in this Luke. The letter's from the future and claims to need Professor Layton's help in a crisis only he can solve. How could this be, and why couldn't the Professor Layton in the future aid? Luke and the professor begrudgingly enter a clock shop and are transported into the future.
Are you all right, Luke?
Yes, that was quite a shake.
Huh?
They step outside and London has sprung forward 10 years. The scenery is completely changed. The streets have undergone construction and everything around them is different. They realize their journey to the future is likely related to an incident the week prior in which a scientist, Dr. Stengun, attempted to demonstrate functional time travel and was caught, with the Prime Minister and the machine's catastrophic failure, both disappearing.
Something's gone very wrong.
The two explore the future and, after a few hours, determine that this London is certainly not the one that they left. They set out to meet future Luke. I'd like to make a 30-minute video discussing precisely how this plot unfolds, but I truly would like to thoroughly encourage everyone watching to play this game. Instead, I'll try to discuss what this game is most famous for, its bizarre tonality, and why this game is most popular among fans. As I mentioned, this game is like animated brain age. The way puzzles are funneled into every resting moment is so obtuse. Layton is one-dimensional, Sherlock Holmes without any of the quirks or nuance. This is the scene where that begins to wet the audience's mouth towards a new idea, that Herschel Layton is a very dynamic and engaging character.
Huh? Yeah. Oh.
Huh? Professor?
Oh, it's just beautiful, Herschel.
Oh, do you really like it?
I don't just like it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Picking out the right gift can be quite the puzzle.
Lucky for me, every puzzle has an answer. Isn't that what you always say?
Yes, well. I've been thinking,
Go on.
if I were to get the teaching job, then we... Well,
I'm listening, Herschel.
oh, I'll tell you later.
Come on now. Tell me more about these plans of yours.
No, it was nothing. Now let's eat before our food gets cold.
Hey, you can't just change the subject.
What are you talking about? I did nothing of the sort.
You most certainly did.
There's this leading
Oh,
J
it's
cut
just
with a twitch in
beautiful,
Herschel's
Herschel.
hand and a furrowed brow. It's 1 second, but it conveys so much. The subsequent framing is so deliberate. We match a face to a woman Herschel passed. Notice where the camera is and where Layton is cut off in the frame. To double down, the camera slowly tracks up his sweet face and his most notable, most notorious feature, absent. Layton's top hat is absent. This is twofold. It's nonverbal oration as flashback, and it sets up a dunk later in the game. These two are most likely on a date, and Herschel has given this woman a pocket watch. I suspect they don't have to articulate the connection to the title. Herschel begins to talk about the plans for the future and trails off nervously. What tremendous storytelling! I'm firstly given the impression that this, in 2 full games, is the most vulnerable and emotional we've ever seen Layton. And secondly, that perhaps he is quiet and pensive more than the other cast because he is a bit awkward and soft-spoken, not because he's poorly written. In one stroke, we seem to understand 2 games of Layton better and are tremendously interested in Layton's past and how it will unravel in this London of the future. We move to a casino, which, by the way, is an excellent set piece, and meet future Luke. His design is superb. His darker hat and his long sock accentuate his age and long, spindly legs. We note the similarity between he and young Layton. He challenges Layton to a game, of course. His mannerisms intentionally mimic those of Layton. Enter a puzzle battle? Yes. Brain Age can fucking suck eggs. This is a puzzle battle. And listen to the music. Speaking of, the music of course takes center stage. This puzzle battle, the casino theme, Chinatown theme, Professor's deductions, Mobile Fortress, and of course, the theme, Unwound Future. I can't explain it, but the exact way this game is stylized, the music, the voice acting, the background, the tall buildings watching over you as you investigate. For a 12-year-old game, it's quite well stylized. It's so rich and crisp, and like I said, it's really goofy. Eventually you meet this dude. Luke can actually talk to animals, so let's see what's up.
What do you want?
Hello. I hope you're enjoying this lovely day. Would you mind if we pass through here?
Yeah, you humans are so full of yourself. Always acting like you own a place. But this here's my turf. Take one more step and I'll rearrange your kneecaps. Sold as a lab animal. I thought it couldn't get any worse. I was wrong. The research facility I was taken to was the most miserable place on Earth. They'd throw me in a room and cut the lights. There'd be a loud noise like nails on a blackboard. Next thing I know, I'm in a totally different room. Life is hard, kid, and I've had it harder than most. None of it really matters. The sooner you stop expecting good things to happen, the better off you'll be.
Wow. His story is by far the goofiest in the game, but it also preps the idea of scientists being stuck in ivory towers and hurting those around them in pursuit of knowledge. As hilarious as he is, there is hurt in his little story. This game is about how its inhabitants respond to pain and trauma, after all. Chronologically, this is Luke and Layton's 8th documented journey together. During the investigation, young Luke disappears, and there's a short segment spent searching for him. Layton finds him near a statue of 2 friends, many years apart in age, but inseparable within time or space. Luke confesses that he has to move away with his father. This will be their last journey together. Layton reassures Luke that they are true friends, and not even distance can break their bond. This game isn't about London 10 years from now. It's about Luke's future and Layton's past. Yet again, on the way to Chinatown, Layton passes someone who reminds him of Claire, the woman we've been seeing in flashbacks.
Here you go.
What's this now?
Open it and see.
A hat?
For the newly appointed professor. Congratulations!
Thank you.
You're a fully fledged member of the academic community now. So you've got to look the part. Very dashing, Herschel. The picture of a true gentleman.
A true gentleman?
No, leave it on. It suits you. It really does. So no taking it off. Oh, look at the time. I didn't realize how late it was. I have to go to the lab. We're running a very important experiment today. Let's continue this celebration over dinner tonight. Oh, and promise me you'll wear the hat. It's not your usual style, but keep an open mind. After all, isn't that what a gentleman does?
Man, this scene is so tremendous. It gets an immediate dunk just in the premise of why does Layton wear his hat, but it really smashes home how cute these two are. All we know of him coalesces here: his professorship, his top hat, his quiet demeanor, and perhaps even his inclination to behave like a gentleman. Her last job, the clock, every moment of this scene is maximized. Of course, we've never seen Herschel take his hat off. It's a treasured gift from his beloved. The question hangs above us then. What happened to her? Again, I'm trying not to talk about this game beat for beat, so I'll summarize through the rest. There's a gunfight at the casino. You heard that right. And after quite a bit of investigating, traveling back to the past and present, Layton and Luke travel to the top of the pagoda to confront London's dictator and tyrant, future Layton. Huge spoilers from here on out. Please click away if you're interested in playing. If I know you even tangentially, you can borrow my copy. If one person plays this game, this will be my most successful video to date. It's the ending from here on out. The tyrant Layton is actually Dr. Stangun, who holds the Prime Minister hostage. The Prime Minister, Layton, Stangun, who's really Dimitri Allen, and Claire were all involved in an accident 10 years ago. The Prime Minister, Bill, Allen, and Claire were scientists working on a time machine. The machine blew up, and neighboring apartments were blown up in the explosion. Claire died. A motley crew is formed. Layton, Luke, Flora, future Luke, Don Paulo, who's an older villain, a parrot, and Celeste. The woman we've been seeing is Claire's sister, who Layton never met. These two look nearly identical. They're all joined around one incident, the explosion 10 years ago. Don Paulo loved Claire as well. Layton confessed that after trying to investigate the explosion on his own, which had received no media attention, he was nearly killed. Someone with immense political influence suppressed the incident. Layton promises to reveal all at Tam's arms. All gather, and Dimitri confirms what Layton already knows.
It's taken time, but I believe I've finally made sense of the bizarre events we've witnessed here.
You've worked it all out?
For the most part.
Come on then, out with it!
Yes, of course. I have much to say about this city and its secrets.
Bill Hawks used Claire as a test subject and sold the machine's power source to propel himself into a political career and eventually become Prime Minister. Dimitri's plan was straightforward enough: to fix the time machine by kidnapping scientists to save Claire before she died. However, someone more sinister lurked behind the scenes. The London the group traveled to was a massive underground facsimile of the real city. In the clock shop, they were transported below ground. LED lit the sky, and something horrible lurked below the false London. A weapon.
Someone here masterminded a scheme even more awful than yours, Dimitri. And that person is there!
I think you're mistaken, Professor.
No, there's no mistake here, and there's no hiding it anymore, Luke. Or should I call you Clive? It took some time to put together the pieces of your plan. But when I finally understood it all, the sheer evil of it sent a chill down my spine. Clive, you lived next door to the lab that exploded 10 years ago. You were just a child then. That blast demolished half of the building you lived in. Reports indicate that 10 people were killed in the explosion, 2 of whom were your parents. It must have been a terrible shock. In the span of a few seconds, you lost your family and your home.
And I thought scientists were supposed to be observant. While you focused on your machine, I had a different goal. Though some may call it revenge, I prefer to think of it as justice over single-minded scientists and corrupt politicians.
What are you saying, Clive?
Enough explanations! Let me show you.
The group make their way up the Titan as it burrows its way above ground to the real London. For a puzzle game, this is so remarkably dark.
This is utter madness.
Please, make yourselves comfortable. Sit back and relax. After all, you won't be leaving anytime soon.
Take a good look at London, because this will be your last chance.
The group override the machine and fly away. Now, here we are.
Now what is it? No, no, no! This isn't happening. It can't end this way. It won't end this way!
It's too dangerous.
He's not the only one to blame. You do know that, don't you, Professor?
I do. That was you.
Deep down inside, I hoped you might be able to talk me down from the edge of insanity again. This is the second time you've saved my life now. Thank you.
I don't think I have much longer here, Herschel.
I don't know what you mean.
You've taken awfully good care of that hat I gave you.
What did you say? Oi, there you are, Layton. I did a background check on Claire's family like you asked. There's no record of Claire having a younger sister. Then...
Yes, was quite a shock when I first worked it out.
But you can't really mean...
It's me, Herschel. It's Claire.
While it defies logic, it seems the experiment 10 years ago wasn't a complete failure. Somehow Claire was shot 10 years into the future.
To our present.
It seems inevitable that she'll return to her own time. To the moment of the blast.
It's absolutely crucial to remember who Layton is. In 7 games, he has never removed his hat, has never raised his voice or been anything other than a perfect gentleman. He's remained composed and clear in every situation we've ever seen him in. This is his final resolution with his love.
I suppose this is it, Herschel. I have to go back to my own time, back to that day when we parted.
No, Claire.
I'm sorry, I can't stay.
Claire, wait!
We had so many plans for the future. You won't forget, will you? Our shared past and our lost future.
You can't go! I don't want to say goodbye again. I can't. I won't!
I know you. And I know you'll stay strong. After all, that's what a gentleman does. I must go now, Herschel. Thank you for everything. Goodbye.
She's gone!
Fuck. This game is very much about this relationship and this scene. It's their story, but it also belongs to Dimitri, who lost the project he was most passionate about and the woman he loved. About Clive, who had his parents torn from him as their assailant became prime minister. But it's also my story. This is my favorite game of all time, and I love it more than anything. I'm graduating with a degree in physics in response to my love of puzzles. I dream of working in academia and becoming a professor. My longtime girlfriend is named Claire. There's so much hurt and so many goodbyes in the central story of Unwound Future. It's the last game, chronologically, and, as it promised, it's the one which Layton and Luke have to say goodbye to one another.
I suppose this is goodbye.
Oh no, my boy. This is so long, not goodbye. Now, Luke, you know a gentleman never makes a scene in public.
I'm sorry, Professor, but I'm not a gentleman yet.
There.
I've discussed this prior, but this isn't Heavy Rain. This game socks me across the face every single time because it has mastery over its weird tone. It's goofy and pedantic and also deeply dark and meditative. Its puzzles are quick and fun, but it also presents lots of large questions with no good answers. Despite this, it's consistently positive and hopeful in its outlook. It's the perfect game to play when I'm or you're in a low place. Thank you as always so much for watching. So long.